There is a simple but powerful principle. The way you carry yourself changes the way the world carries you. The difference between those who succeed and those who hesitate is not talent alone. It is the courage to walk with certainty, even when the heart is trembling. Today, let us explore the timeless lesson of walking as if it already belongs to you, even if fear is whispering in the background. Confidence is often mistaken for something mysterious, something reserved for a chosen few who seem to be born with it. People think it's a gift handed out by chance, that some are destined to shine while others are left standing in the shadows. But the truth is far simpler and far more empowering. Confidence is a choice, not a feeling. Think about it for a moment. If you waited to feel confident before acting, how many opportunities would pass you by? How many doors would close before you even reached out to knock? Feelings are unreliable. They shift with the weather of our thoughts. One day you may wake with courage in your chest, and the next you may feel small and uncertain. If your actions depend on how you feel, you will always be at the mercy of those tides. But when you decide, consciously, deliberately, that you will carry yourself with confidence regardless of what you feel, something extraordinary happens. This decision transforms posture, tone, and presence. A person who chooses confidence walks into a room differently. Their steps are measured, not rushed. Their eyes are steady, not darting. They speak clearly, not because their nerves have vanished, but because they refuse to let nerves dictate their voice. Others sense this decision. The way you walk into a room often speaks louder than the words you say. Human beings are wired to notice signals long before we hear voices. Long before people know your story, your background, or your abilities, they read your posture, your pace, your expression. This is why walking with certainty is one of the most underrated yet most powerful tools in life. It isn't about arrogance or pretending to be something you're not. It's about understanding that the image you project shapes the way others respond to you. Think for a moment about the last time you met someone who carried themselves with quiet confidence. They didn't have to announce their presence. They didn't need to prove themselves with loud words or exaggerated gestures. Their very presence commanded respect. Why? Because certainty radiates. When a person moves as though they know they belong, others naturally assume they do. On the other hand, when someone moves hesitantly, shuffling as if apologizing for taking up space, people unconsciously accept that signal too. This principle doesn't just apply to how people perceive you. It also shapes how you perceive yourself. When you walk with certainty, you are sending a message to your own mind. I can handle this. I am enough. I belong here. The body and the mind are connected. The way you stand influences the way you think, and the way you think influences the way you stand. It becomes a cycle. That's why athletes prepare before stepping into the arena with strong movements, why leaders maintain steady composure under pressure, and why individuals who succeed in high-stakes environments act as though the outcome is already leaning in their favor. Now, certainty doesn't mean the absence of fear. In fact, certainty is most powerful when fear is present. Imagine being in a situation where your heart is racing, your hands are trembling, and doubt is whispering in your ear. At that moment, you have two choices. Allow fear to dictate your movements or override it by carrying yourself with strength. When you choose the latter, not only do others see you as capable, but something remarkable happens inside. You begin to believe it too. The act of walking with certainty becomes a rehearsal for the reality you're building. Consider how opportunities in life often hinge on first impressions. A job interview, a business pitch, a performance, or even meeting someone who could change the course of your future. In those moments, your skills and knowledge matter, but so does your presence. If you walk in as though you're unworthy, it will color the way your words are heard. If you walk in with certainty, even if you don't have every answer, people will sense that you are someone to take seriously. They will lean in, listen, and respect the space you occupy. The truth is, certainty is contagious. When you project confidence, others borrow from it. They feel more secure in trusting you, supporting you, following you. This is why leaders are remembered not just for what they did, but for how they carried themselves in times of uncertainty. When everyone else was unsure, they walked with certainty, and that certainty lit the path for others. So walking with certainty is not a trick, and it's not an act, it's a choice. A choice to believe in your worth before the world confirms it. A choice to stand tall even when your knees feel weak. a choice to remind both yourself and others that you are not defined by fear, you are defined by how you move through it. Fear is a natural part of life. It is not something to be ashamed of, nor is it something we can avoid entirely. Every person, no matter how confident or successful they may appear, has felt fear standing beside them in critical moments. It shows up before a big decision, before stepping onto a stage, before asking for an opportunity, or when standing at the threshold of the unknown. Fear is not a sign of weakness. It is simply a reminder that you are stepping into territory that matters. The very presence of fear means you are facing something important enough to change you. The common mistake most people make is believing they must first eliminate fear before they can move forward. They wait for the day when courage arrives without hesitation, when the heart is steady and the hands no longer shake. But that day rarely comes. If you wait for fear to disappear, you will wait for the rest of your life. Courage has never meant the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to walk forward in spite of it. Think about the moments in history when breakthroughs were made. The inventor standing before an untested machine, the leader addressing a restless crowd, the artist revealing their work to the world. All of them carried fear in their hearts. They did not know what the outcome would be. They could not guarantee applause, acceptance, or success, and yet they stepped forward. Their actions were not proof that fear was gone, but proof that fear did not control them. Fear whispers doubts. It tells you that you are not ready, that you may fail, that others will laugh, that the risk is too great. And yet when you walk, despite that whisper, something remarkable happens. The voice of fear begins to shrink. Each step forward is a small act of defiance, a declaration that you will not allow temporary feelings to decide your future. The act of moving while afraid transforms you. It builds a resilience that cannot be learned from books or lectures. It can only be forged in the fire of experience. Walking despite fear also reshapes your self-image. The first time you act with trembling hands and a racing heart, you prove something to yourself. You are stronger than you thought. That moment becomes a memory you can return to when fear arises again. You begin to trust yourself not because you never feel afraid, but because you have evidence that you can keep walking even when you do. Over time, this trust grows into confidence, and confidence, once built, radiates into every area of life. Even the people watching you can sense the difference. They see someone who, while not fearless, is courageous. That presence commands respect because it is genuine. Everyone knows fear. Not everyone knows what it looks like to move through it. When you do, you inspire others. You show them that their excuses are not the truth, only stories they've allowed themselves to believe. So fear should never be your signal to stop. It should be your signal to go. If it frightens you, it likely means it is worth pursuing. Growth always lives on the other side of fear. The trembling will subside, the doubt will fade, but the progress will remain. Every great step in life begins with this simple truth. You do not wait for courage, you create it. And the only way to create it is to walk, even when you are scared. Success begins with self-image. Long before a goal is achieved, before an award is handed, or recognition is given, a person must carry a vision of themselves that matches the life they want to live. Every invention, every book, every business, and every movement in history was first born in the mind of an individual who dared to believe they could. That belief was not a faint wish. It was a conviction that settled deep within their self-image. The truth is, people rarely rise higher than the picture they hold of themselves. If you see yourself as unworthy, you will walk timidly, you will hesitate when opportunities appear, and you will shrink back when challenges come. But if you see yourself as capable, as someone worthy of achievement, you will naturally act in alignment with that belief, even in the presence of fear. The human mind operates like a mirror. It reflects back to us not what we want, but what we expect. If you carry an image of yourself as weak, incapable, or destined to fail, you will act in ways that confirm it. But if your inner picture is one of strength, courage, and determination, you will unconsciously step into that role. Think of a stage actor. Before stepping into the spotlight, they must believe in the role they are about to play. Their walk, their voice, their posture all flow from the character they hold in their imagination. Life works the same way. The self-image is the role we hand ourselves. Those who see themselves as leaders, innovators, or achievers eventually begin to live it out. Those who see themselves as defeated live in defeat. It is important to understand that this self-picture is not fixed. It can be shaped, strengthened, and built through consistent effort. Many people believe they must wait until they feel confident before they can act boldly. But the opposite is true. Action itself reshapes the way we see ourselves. Every time you stand tall, speak clearly, or take a step forward despite trembling inside, you are writing a new image of yourself. You are proving to your own mind that you are capable. Confidence is not something handed to us by chance. It is cultivated through repeated action aligned with the person we want to become. Consider the young professional walking into a boardroom for the first time. If they picture themselves as an outsider, unworthy of a seat at the table, their presence will reflect hesitation. But if they carry the image of someone who belongs, someone who has value to contribute, their very walk into the room changes. Others will notice it. The world responds to the self-image we project. We train others to see us the way we see ourselves. That is why success always begins on the inside, long before it manifests on the outside. The greatest obstacle to achievement is not the mountain, nor the competition, nor the difficulties along the way. It is the battle within our own imagination. The question is never truly, can I do this, but rather, do I see myself as the kind of person who can? Those who answer yes, even in the smallest way, unlock the power to move forward. So the work begins here, shaping the image you hold of yourself. Guard it carefully. Feed it with positive thought, disciplined action, and small victories that reinforce your belief. As this inner picture grows stronger, you will notice that fear has less grip, hesitation has less voice, and the world begins to reflect back the certainty you project. Success, then, is not something you chase. It is something you grow into by first becoming the person who can carry it. The way we carry ourselves communicates far more than we often realize. Every gesture, every movement, every tone of voice sends signals to the people around us. We may think words are our greatest tool, but in truth, much of our message is spoken without a single syllable. Our posture, our presence, the way we walk into a room, all of it declares something about who we are. And the fascinating part is this: others tend to believe what we project even before they know us. Consider the difference between two people entering the same space. One enters with shoulders slouched, eyes fixed downward, steps uncertain and hesitant. The other walks in with head lifted, shoulders squared, a steady rhythm in their stride. Both may be equally intelligent, equally capable, equally gifted, but to the observer one seems unsure, while the other radiates quiet authority. That subtle difference changes how they are treated, how opportunities are offered, and how people respond to them. The world mirrors the signals we send. This is why carrying yourself with confidence is so critical, even in moments when fear gnaws at you inside. Others cannot see your inner doubts, but they can sense hesitation if you let it bleed through your body language. Conversely, if you choose to stand firm, to hold yourself upright, and to speak with clarity, they will often interpret it as confidence, even if inside you feel uncertain. Over time, this practice not only influences others' perceptions, it transforms your own. You begin to believe the image you project. The body influences the mind just as much as the mind influences the body. When you straighten your back, lift your head, and breathe with control, you send signals to your brain that you are in command of yourself. That small adjustment shifts your emotions and thought patterns. You may still feel nervous, but you no longer appear consumed by it. The discipline of physical presence can gradually train your inner state toward confidence. What begins as a conscious effort becomes second nature. Think of leaders throughout history. They were not always free from fear or doubt, but they carried themselves with a dignity that inspired trust. Soldiers followed them into battle. Citizens listened to their words. Organizations placed faith in their guidance, largely because their presence communicated stability. Authority is not only in what you say, it is in how you stand while saying it. Respect often flows first to those who appear composed, collected, and sure of themselves. This is why your posture and tone matter in every pursuit, whether it's walking into an interview, standing on a stage, or simply greeting someone new. You may not control every circumstance, but you do control how you show up in that moment. And showing up with certainty invites doors to open that might otherwise remain closed. People naturally trust those who seem to trust themselves. The lesson here is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about choosing to embody the best version of yourself before the results arrive. Walk as if you already belong, not because you're deceiving others, but because you're teaching both them and yourself to believe in your worth. The more consistently you do this, the more the world responds in kind. Presence is power, and presence is practiced. When you master the art of carrying yourself with authority, you discover that fear no longer dictates how you are received. Instead, you guide the narrative. And in a world that constantly evaluates, often silently, the way we appear, learning to command your presence is one of the most valuable skills you can ever acquire. It is the beginning of confidence, and it is a language understood everywhere. Act as though you already belong where you dream to be. That single idea has the power to change how you see yourself, how others see you, and ultimately how far you go in life. Most people wait for permission. They wait for a sign that they're ready, or for someone else to validate them before stepping forward. But the truth is, no one is coming to hand you that permission. Life belongs to those who walk into the room as though they have every right to be there, even when they're trembling inside. Think about it. Every environment you step into carries a certain energy. A workplace, a classroom, a business meeting, even a social gathering. The people who rise to the top are rarely the ones with the highest IQ or the most polished resume. More often, it's the ones who project certainty, the ones who carry themselves like they already belong. And here's the secret. Half the time, they don't actually feel that way. They're nervous. They're questioning themselves. But they act in spite of it, and that action reshapes the entire way the world responds to them. When you walk like you already belong, something fascinating happens. Your environment begins to shift to meet your expectations. People listen more closely. Opportunities seem to open. Confidence is magnetic. It draws others in because it signals strength, leadership, and clarity. Even when you're unsure, standing tall and speaking with conviction tells others that you're worth taking seriously. The world doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards presence. And presence is a decision you make in each step, in each word, in each interaction. Belonging doesn't come first. Acting as though you belong comes first. That's the paradox. Most people think they need success before they can act successful. They think they need the promotion before they walk like a leader, or the audience before they speak like an authority. But it works in reverse. You walk like a leader before you become one. You speak like an authority before the world acknowledges your voice. You act like you're capable before you've proven it, and in time your actions shape your reality. Of course, doubt will creep in. It will whisper, what if they see through me? What if I don't deserve this? But here is the truth. No one ever begins fully prepared. No one ever feels completely ready. Every great entrepreneur, every artist, every leader started in rooms where they felt out of place. But they didn't shrink. They didn't apologize for being there. They carried themselves as though they had every right to sit at the table, and eventually they did. This way of moving through the world is not arrogance, it's faith. Faith that you can grow into the role, that you can learn what you need, that you can rise to meet the standard. Arrogance says I'm better than everyone else. Confidence says I belong here too. And that small shift makes all the difference. So act as though you already belong where you dream to be. Walk into every room with a quiet conviction that you're meant to be there. Speak with clarity, even if your voice shakes. Take up space with dignity, not because you've already earned everything, but because you're on the path to earning it. When you do this, something powerful happens. The dream that once felt far away begins to fit. It starts to feel natural, almost inevitable. And one day you'll look around and realize that what once felt like pretending has become the truth. Every achievement you see in the world today, every invention, every company, every piece of art, every breakthrough, was once nothing more than an idea in the mind of someone uncertain. The person who created it was not born with certainty. They wrestled with doubt. They questioned themselves. They wondered if they were good enough, smart enough, or capable enough to make it real. But what separated them from the countless others who had ideas was one simple thing. They acted anyway. They stepped forward, even though uncertainty followed them like a shadow. Uncertainty is not a weakness. It is a sign you are entering new ground. If you feel completely confident, it usually means you're repeating something you already know how to do. Growth, however, demands that we stand at the edge of the unknown, and the unknown will always bring hesitation. But those who achieve greatness never wait for the hesitation to vanish. They understand that certainty is built, not discovered. It is built by doing the very thing you doubt you can do. Think about the pioneers, the inventors, the leaders, the creators we admire. They did not wait until the path was clear. They walked while the road was foggy. They did not know how it would all unfold, but they trusted that by moving forward, clarity would come. The Wright brothers did not know, for sure, if their flying machine would lift off the ground. They faced ridicule, doubt, and fear of failure, but they pressed on, testing, adjusting, and learning. What gave the world the gift of flight was not certainty, it was persistence in uncertainty. The truth is, nobody ever feels ready for their biggest moments. The first speech, the first performance, the first business venture, the first step onto a new stage, every one of these carries the weight of doubt. But the world does not remember the people who waited until they felt safe. It remembers those who moved forward in spite of fear, the actor who delivers their lines with a pounding heart, the entrepreneur who invests in an idea when no one else believes, the student who raises their hand though their voice shakes. These are the moments that shape a destiny. The mistake most people make is believing they must eliminate uncertainty before taking action. They tell themselves they will start once they feel confident, once the fear is gone, once the timing is perfect. But that day never comes. Fear is not an enemy you defeat. It is a companion you learn to walk with. And as you walk, something remarkable happens. Your actions carve a path, your persistence builds momentum, and your results create the confidence you were waiting for. Every great achievement was once pursued by someone uncertain, but what made it great was that uncertainty did not stop them. They leaned into it, knowing that fear and doubt are proof that they were doing something worthy. If you want to achieve more, do not wait for the day you feel no fear. Begin today. Step forward with your doubts still whispering, with your heart still racing, with your mind still questioning, because certainty is not a prerequisite for greatness, it is the reward. Carry yourself with authority until belief becomes reality. This is one of the oldest truths of human achievement, yet it is often overlooked because we expect belief to come first. We think confidence should arrive before we act, that certainty must be felt before we step forward. But in reality, it is the opposite. We don't wait to believe in ourselves before we act. We act until we give ourselves reason to believe. Consider a young person stepping into their first job, their first stage, or their first meeting. Inside they may be nervous, questioning their worth, wondering if they truly belong. If they allow that uncertainty to leak into their posture, their voice, their presence, the world will mirror it back to them. But if they stand tall, walk steadily, and speak as though their contribution has value, something remarkable happens. The world begins to respond as though they are indeed worthy of respect. This response reinforces their confidence, and soon what began as an act becomes their reality. Belief is not born fully formed. It grows through repetition, through action, through proving to ourselves that we can hold the weight of responsibility, that we can navigate the challenges set before us. Walking with authority, even in moments of doubt, is the soil where belief takes root. Every confident stride, every firm handshake, every steady word is a seed planted in the mind, whispering, "You are capable. You are becoming." History is filled with individuals who began their journeys unsure, yet carried themselves as if they already knew their place. Great leaders, inventors, and creators often admitted to fear and uncertainty in their private moments, but outwardly they projected conviction. They spoke with clarity. They acted with purpose. In time, their inner world caught up with their outer expression, and their confidence became genuine. They became what they had once only pretended to be. It is important to understand that this is not deception. You are not pretending to be someone else when you walk with authority. You are drawing forward the version of yourself that exists within, but has not yet been fully revealed. Each of us carries untapped potential, strength we have not tested, talents we have not used, courage we have not demanded of ourselves. By carrying yourself with authority, you summon that hidden power into the open. You live into the truth of who you are capable of becoming. Think of it like building muscle. At first, the weight feels impossible. Your body resists, you doubt you can lift it. But by lifting anyway, even shakily, you grow stronger. Over time, what once felt unbearable becomes routine. Confidence works in the same way. At first, walking with authority feels unnatural, perhaps even uncomfortable. But each time you do it, you reinforce the belief that you belong, that you are capable, that you can hold the ground beneath your feet. Soon, belief is no longer something you chase. It is something you embody. So never wait for the perfect moment when fear has vanished and confidence magically appears. That moment will not come. Instead, decide to walk with authority now. Carry yourself as though the opportunities are already yours, as though the respect is already earned, as though the path is already cleared. By doing so, you give your mind no choice but to adjust, to align your inner state with the outer reality you are creating. In time, belief will settle into your bones. What began as deliberate effort will transform into natural presence. Others will look at you and see certainty, but more importantly, you will look at yourself and see the truth. You became the person you always hoped you could be, not by waiting to believe, but by daring to walk as though you already did.